Hello, I'm Jessica Marriott and welcome back to the next episode of Back in a Mill. I'm joined today by Talia White, who is a photographer to the celebs and all of the aesthetics girls within the industry. And I'm here today to ask her some really interesting questions and I hope you enjoy watching. Do you just want to tell me a little bit how you got into photography?
So photography wasn't ever something I thought about as a career, even though my whole childhood was like I had photography around me a lot. So my dad was like it was his hobby, and my granddad as well. So my house was full of cameras, and my dad every Saturday we'd go out for walks and he'd be taking photos and stuff.
Oh, that's really cute.
And I kind of just thought of it as a hobby. Like I never ever thought of it being a career. So when I finished school, I had failed pretty much everything apart from drama. I think it was. That was my highest grade.
Were you a drama queen?
Yeah. So that was all I'd done well in really, and fashion. And fashion was what I actually wanted to get into doing, so fashion design and stuff like that. So when I went to college, I couldn't get onto the fashion course because of my grades. So I had to do like a BTEC in art and design. And whilst I was on that course, when it was coming to an end, all my friends went on to do photography. And they were like, just come with us. And I was like, oh, it's a bit weird. Like, what do you do? And they were like, it's really cool. You go in like a dark room and develop pictures. And I didn't really understand it, to be fair. So I was like, okay, that year was kind of like a year of fun for me. Like I was 17 or whatever you are at that age, 16, 17. And it was just like a year of having fun, not taking things too serious, just finding my way, really.
Yeah.
And then all my friends went on to do this course, and like 5 of them, and they all ended up just dropping out or not going on to the course. And my mum was like, well, you have to do it. And I was just like, I don't really like it.
You didn't like it?
No.
What did you like about it?
Because when you're studying it, it's like you cover every area of it. So like landscape photography, things I wasn't interested in.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I took a fashion photograph that I had like this, like I can't even explain the feeling that I had. But it wasn't really even a fashion photograph. It was just like a portrait that was a bit creative and stuff like that. And I just had this incredible like feeling, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Oh, that's so nice.
So
you kind of knew at that point, didn't you?
But it was only if it was that type of photography. Nothing else appeals to me. Still doesn't now. So
because you've been very specific, haven't you, within your photography styles? I would say, especially kind of over the last year or so. Yeah. We're seeing a lot of the glam girls kind of come on. Are you finding that those are the girls that kind of are coming to you more?
Yeah, I think when I first started photography, my style of photography was completely different to what you'd see now. It was very like fairy tale, like girls in flower crowns. Like it was
quite different then.
Completely different. And yeah, I wanted to do more of what I do now, but I wasn't selling myself as that at the same time because the work I was showing was a bit too fancy, and it was more art, I'd say. And I then had to figure out, well, how can I get into the type of work I want to do? So I had to switch up my style. And I think there was a point where my work's kind of for the past, say, 8 years, 9, been the same sort of style, but I've improved on it over the years. And there was a point where I started to think I need to change it because everybody was doing like street style, like grainy, like a different type of photography, and I thought I needed to keep up with the times. But by sticking to what I was actually good at and improving that has worked in my favour.
Definitely. And I feel like it's evolved. I don't know how you feel, but definitely as someone that's not an expert in the field, I feel like we was all seeing a certain type of photography, particularly 10 years ago. Yeah. Whereas now it's kind of took this new turn. And I think the thing about your style of photography and the pictures that you create, it's very niche. I don't see it anywhere.
Really?
No, honestly, I know you're modest, but I don't see it anywhere. Like your eye for that camera is so good. And I think this is why you are getting so many girls go back to you and you've done things for magazines and all sorts. So yeah, I think it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
What would you say is your biggest achievement that you've kind of done within photography since you've switched it up in the more recent years?
So if I was to say like overall, my biggest achievement would, well, like probably like work-wise, doing like shooting for OK Magazine, getting the front cover, that was a huge deal. Of course, that was like amazing, and the fact that the talent had requested me as the photographer was really,
that's such a compliment.
Yeah, that's like a really nice thing. But I do build nice relationships with people, and I'm very loyal, and I think that's also what keeps people coming back to me as well. So that was a huge achievement. But I think a big thing for me as well has been my personal growth. Like when I started photography, I remember being so shy that I took about 1,000 pictures of this one girl stood in the same position because I was too scared to ask her to turn to the side.
Oh wow!
Because I genuinely like couldn't talk. Like I was so, it's really strange because I was confident when I was probably like 16, and then I got into like a bit older and I started to go into myself a bit and get really
self-doubt.
Yeah, and I guess I've always been a bit self-doubt when it comes to my work, and I hate everybody hates like rejection and stuff, or I can't take criticism that well. Like I take it very personal. But like
I mean, who doesn't know when you're that age? It's hard, isn't it? And it's a big responsibility that you've got on your shoulders, because they're there for that one day to get that one shot.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Because you don't think about that as the person that's going and having the photographs done. You just think you're going to turn up, you're going to look great, and everything's going to be fabulous. Yeah. And you have all this pressure on you. And do you not feel like social media has just contributed to this pressure immensely?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it probably has, yeah. But, yeah.
Go on, say it. There's something on the tip of your tongue there.
There's actually not. I'm trying to think. No, I guess it has, in a sense. And to be fair, I've never had anything bad on social media really, or anything like that. But I kind of like, unlike what everyone's doing now, I kind of hide behind my business. So I actually don't put myself out there, which I should do. Like my husband's always like, you need to put yourself out there, you need to put yourself out there. You know, you're a likeable person, people want to see you. But I actually can't do that. I can't.
Bless you. Do you feel like you've got maybe a little bit of imposter syndrome going on?
I think if I ever post anything of myself, my heart will literally burn.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm that scared that somebody's going to say something. Like I don't know what they're going to say or what they can say.
I think this is it though. We make this picture in our head and we get so stressed.
Yeah.
But you know, as an outsider looking in, I would never think that about you. Never.
Really?
Like, that shocked me,
really?
that it's to that
level. I think
level.
I bet they're thinking, who does she think she is? She's really important or something. And I'd never...
You don't want to portray that because it's not you.
Yeah. So, I do that. But when it comes to my work, I've never had anyone write anything horrible or anything like that. And
that's really lucky, because the industry can be a little bit savage. So I think the fact that no one has done that is testament to how much of a nice person you are. Because I think if anyone would have had the opportunity, Talia, they probably would have.
Yeah, but no, I haven't had anything bad on that. So, yeah.
That's so good.
But I think, and going back to what you asked me as well about the career thing, so like within, say, the aesthetic industry, obviously I went to Sophia Bailey's Herstory event, and I was so terrified about doing it, to the point where everyone was like, oh, like, I kept saying to her, I'm too scared, and she was like, I'm not going to force you, but I think it's going to be incredible for you.
A massive opportunity.
Yeah, and I was literally staying up for nights on end, panicking about this.
Well, I actually came to shoot with you maybe the week before that event, and you were stressing about it then.
Yeah, and I don't, it may be a bit of imposter syndrome, I was thinking, what if I get there and people are like, or no one wants a picture, or and then I thought, well, I need to do it because if I see someone else there doing it, I'll be devastated.
You're going to feel like you've lost that opportunity.
Yeah, and I've obviously spent a few years now building my name up in this industry that I thought it was just a good opportunity. So going there actually was incredible, and I was so shocked at the amount of people that came for photos, the queues. It was like, I don't know, afterwards I was on cloud nine. It was the maddest feeling.
That's so nice. I bet that was a real confidence booster.
It was, yeah, because when I first went in, on the way there I was like, I think I can do really well, to Jake, and he was like, yeah, definitely, you'll kill it, like the girls are all going to be dressed up, they want to have a picture, and I was like, yeah, and then we got there, set up, and I was like, oh my god.
It hit you what you'd agreed to.
Yeah, and I hid I was just hiding behind the light, and I was like, what are you doing, get out? And I was like, I'm scared. And I was like, what are you on about? And I was like, because I don't like any, like, not that there'd be confrontation.
Talia, you're so funny.
I don't like any awkwardness. Someone was like too awkward to say like what I was offering, or like the amount it was, what they got. And
that was quite an overwhelming situation for you to put yourself in, given the fact that you are quite, I would say, sensitive in a way to new situations. But you still did it. You still went. You put yourself out there. And I bet you made so many girls like feel so amazing that day. Yeah. And I bet you got some great shots. Yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of them on Instagram. Like, they were amazing.
It was wild how many people had the photos done, and everyone was really, really happy. Yeah. So it was a lovely feeling in the end, and I was really proud of myself because that's something I think me being such a people pleaser is how I've actually achieved what I've achieved, because I'm too scared to say no to things. And I just have to do it, even though I'm terrified. Yeah. So, doing it was a really good experience.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I think the fact that you do, I know you're saying you're a people pleaser, you say and I think we've all got an element of being guilty of saying all the time, even though we literally can't do it because we don't want to say no. Yeah. But actually, in your case, it's took you from kind of, because photography is such a broad field. There's so many photographers. But it's like, I know, for example, I went and got my hair done about 6 weeks ago, and I'd mentioned that I'd had some photographs, and a girl didn't even know who she was. She was literally a few chairs down from me. She says, oh, did you go to Talia White? Everyone goes to Talia. And I was like, yes, I did. But you don't realise, when you're so in the moment with things, how you're affecting other people, and the fact that people are talking about you in places that you might not think, you're just sat there kind of doing your thing because it's what you do and you're so used to it. But actually there's girls in hairdressers, there's girls in clinics that are actually talking about you and saying, oh my god, she does amazing photos, you need to go, you need to book, because it's true. So you should be proud of yourself. 100%.
No, I mean, I am proud of myself, but I think, like you said, you can be so caught up in, it's kind of just rolling, and you don't realise how well you've done, or how well you're doing. You kind of, because you're just busy. You're busy,
you go with the flow, and you kind of don't realise maybe the reputation that you are building up. Because you've got a really good Instagram following as well. Yeah. Did you find that took a long time to build?
Yeah, that's took me about 10 years. Yeah. And I haven't realistically, for that amount of time, haven't got that many. However, it's grown rapidly over the past 2 years since I've been doing more work that's with everyday sort of people. So like I've started to do more maternity shoots, and the aesthetics, and obviously that industry is huge. Yeah. So I get a lot of followers from that, and then I do like model portfolios and stuff like that. But since I've been doing more things with sort of, I don't know how to say it, people used to message me and say, do you only work with celebrities?
Oh really?
Yeah, and like, that's not the case at all. I'd never be like, oh, I'm not working with you because you're not someone, or anything like that. I'd never be that way. Yeah. So I think the more people are seeing me say, just doing shoots for like your everyday
just
person,
normal everyday people,
they're like, oh, actually, so then they're more likely to follow me. And
but that's so nice because you are able to cater for everyone. Yeah. And I think that really makes girls excited to come and book because they feel like, oh, so and so had a photographs here, and it builds up that excitement for them, doesn't it? And like that kind of feeling of being like, wow, like I'm going to get some amazing content. And most content that you do see, particularly with photographs and aesthetics within the industry, there's not really many girls, Talia, that I don't know that doesn't use your pictures.
I know, most girls have got them. I'm getting worried in case people are like, right, we need to mix things up and go to someone else. We all look like
No, but you really, I think you've done really well to create that kind of position within the field with it being so competitive, because it is a competitive field.
Yeah, I think that I kind of. So I've been shooting for one girl it's been about 4 years, maybe it could be 5 actually. Like 4.5, and she was the first one I ever photographed.
In aesthetics?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And I never really promoted it because I didn't think it was something that people would really do. Yeah. And to be fair, I only knew her who was doing that.
Yeah.
And then I got like a few bookings off the back of her, and then obviously how, as time's gone on, you know, you'll get one person, and then it's kind of spiraled out of control over the last, like, I'd say 2 years, and become my main work.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
How do you feel then that aesthetics has changed the way that photography styles have changed? As in, do you feel like editing is different now, girls are getting more work done, or how do you feel like just the general aesthetic industry has affected the way that the photographs are and the expectations of the girls that are having the photographs taken?
I'd say as the years have gone on, it's been like people actually want less editing.
Really?
Yeah. Or, you know, some people are very particular on what they want, and they'll just sort of tweak things themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's personal. It
is.
Very personal. Whereas, and I'm fine for them to do that. But I know some photographers wouldn't be. But I just think it is so personal that I can't be like, no, you can't do that to your picture.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I suppose for me, I would be worried because it's a fine line, isn't there, between saying, okay to somebody, I'm going to edit your photo and make it kind of look aesthetically pleasing as you can with the lighting and everything. But then there's that factor of that person might instantly edit their own photos on all social media platforms with a smaller nose, but you don't do it, and then they're kind of like, oh, that's not really how I'm used to seeing myself, because editing is such a part of everyday life. I mean, filters, Snapchat, Instagram, I mean, how many girls are going on stories nowadays with no filter? Yeah,
it's true.
It's hard.
So it's, maybe it's that, like, I'm not editing them as much because they, like I say, want to do that themselves. But I have found more recently that girls are like, I'm actually really happy with the way they are, and nice. I feel that I don't want to post something and when someone comes in that I don't look like that.
Yeah, because that's a bit of a fear, isn't it? You see a photo of somebody and you're like, oh yeah, like, and then they get there and they're like, oh, that doesn't add up with who you are. Yeah. Because we do see that as well within the photography industry, like some very heavily edited photographs to the point where someone is completely unrecognisable. Yeah. And I think that's what everyone likes about your style, is it's very clean, it's fresh, it's elegant, but it always looks like who that person is. And I think that's good to kind of keep in touch with that. Yeah. Because definitely. We are all human, we all do have little flaws, and you know, it's kind of, we don't want to create this bar of just of everything being so high and you have to be perfect, because it's not realistic. I mean, it's stressful, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Also, like, I would never change somebody's face anyway, like, you know, or because I would never dream of, say, touching somebody's nose. Or can you imagine if you edited a photo of a nose and then the girl's like, oh, what's wrong with my nose? Exactly. Why did you do that? And then you give them a complex. Exactly. Like, I'd never dream of it. If I edit, I do like a slight skin smooth. But if you zoomed in, you could still see the pores. Yeah. So, like, there's texture there still. So I try not to over-edit anyway. Like, from far, it can look like nice and smooth. But if you zoom in, there's detail there still. And that's what I like to do. Yeah. I'd never, ever... Probably the slightest thing I'd do is, because I know all girls hate it, is if there's a lump on their arm. Yeah. You know, when your arm's flat. Yeah. Because we were all conscious of that. But then...
most people say to me, can you get rid of that? But I'm like, yeah, that's fine. If
Yeah.
someone asks me to do something, I'll do what, you know, they pay me, I'll do what they want me to do. But I'd never ever. And also, imagine if I've edited one and then you've edited one, and on mine you've got like different nose. And
and there's two different
that
and then people will screenshot it and they'll say, oh, wait a minute, something's gone awry here because these two are different.
Yeah.
So
and another thing another thing I'd not do is post without checking with like say yourself. If you had a picture and I wanted to post it, I'd ask you first.
Yes.
I'd send you what I was going to post and say, is this okay to post?
Sure,
And you might say, can you post this one instead?
Yeah. And you're happy to do that.
Yeah, like.
Have you ever been caught short with that? Have you ever posted something and someone's gone, oh my God, Talia, take it down?
No. Maybe when I first started photography, like when I was about 17 or something, but no.
There's nothing worse though, is there, than seeing a photograph of yourself and you haven't checked it. And someone's, oh my God, I hate this. This is a cringe. When you're in a group photo with your friends and they will edit themselves and then they don't edit you. And you're like, seriously, are we actually friends? Are we
one
doing
person
this?
in the group's got face up face and the rest
one person in the group has literally got full face up, looking banging, 10 out of 10. And you're there a 7 out of 10 because no one's done anything to your face. That is not friends. That is not the kind of friends that I like to associate with.
Oh God, no, but
happens though.
Yeah, it does.
Happens. And I think that there's a big kind of misinterpretation as well, especially with younger girls. I don't know how you feel. They won't necessarily know when a photograph's been edited, especially if it's of like a model or someone high profile. They kind of look at that photograph and they think that that's what that person actually looks like. And then they're constantly trying to battle that inner demon to go, I need to look like this. And I think, obviously, me being in aesthetics, I see it all the time. They'll come in, they'll bring me a photo of a beautiful girl, and I have to say to them, she's stunning, but you do know this photograph is edited.
Well, that is the scary thing. Like, even like I said, even me, like if I do a skin smooth, the fact that you can still see a bit of texture there makes you think, oh, their skin's probably thinking, oh, their skin's actually that smooth because they've still got texture. But or with like face up and stuff, it does look really realistic.
Face up is scary.
Well, unless you go to like, I don't know, what are they, like Hollywood something, I don't know, too far with it or something.
Hollywood 2, Kiss 1, a little bit of hair volume, you can do it all.
But then there's like the ones where it's, you're looking AI.
Yeah, I've seen them. There is actually AI video editors now. Because I know I won't say her name, she's quite a famous model and she uses them all the time on her videos. I mean, she looks amazing, but she doesn't look real.
Really?
She's kind of like this alien-like perfection. It's strange. It's really hard to explain. You must have seen them on Instagram.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
To be fair, I don't actually look through Instagram that much.
Do you not?
No, because I don't want to make myself feel any type of way. So I don't actually, I literally like will post what I've got to post, maybe flick through, like see a few people's pictures that I know and whatever, but I try not to look too deep into it because it does make you you know,
it can make you feel really
crap.
Yeah. Basically, because you're kind of comparing yourself to everything, and then you kind of think, oh, like I need that doing. And I think this is the thing, that we're so visual as humans, and it's crazy. We can see one thing and it can set us off. It's like, I know, for example, and I'm going to be really honest here, if I've been working abroad and I'm in Spain, I get very bloated and I hold a lot of water when I'm on the plane. I get back, and that first day that I get back, I'm always like, oh my God, I always say to my mum, Mum, I look awful, I put on like 20 stone, and she's like, Jess, you look exactly the same. And I'm like emailing my surgeon, saying, God, I need this, I need that. And it's like, you can so easily kind of get carried away in that moment of thinking that you don't look good. And I think because things are so accessible for us now, it's hard, isn't it, to just kind of accept. Because we find something instantly that can fix 100%. The problem. But it's like half of the time, it's silly because no one else probably thinks that, but I do. And because I've convinced it, then that's it.
It's so true. I seen a video the other day. Some woman was saying that we live in a spotlight, so we think that say I'm walking through the train station, I think that the spotlight's on me, and not like as in I'm amazing, as in they're looking at everything on me that I'm thinking, like my hair's frizzy, they're looking at that, but they could instantly be thinking, oh, I really like her glasses, or do you know,
you always assume the worst rather than assuming that someone looks at you and thinks something nice.
We always think that people are looking at those things that we are picking at on ourselves, but they could be thinking, oh, well, like, I love them trousers. Or, like, she smells good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean? Like,
why is women's first instinct is to think that everyone's being negative about us?
Yeah, so,
it's difficult.
And I thought that's so true. And I said it to Jake, and he was like, I know that you think like that. He was like, and you just need to stop, because you need to be like me and not care what anyone thinks. And I'm like, it's really hard being a woman.
It is. Do you think men think like this?
And he doesn't. Definitely not.
What does he think?
He will walk around in his crease t-shirt and his Crocs, and he doesn't care. He's
You're
like,
exposing him
what?
here.
I know, yeah. He's like, so what? I don't care. And I'm like, I wish I could be like that.
Yeah, it's kind of envious, right? Yeah. You can just literally just not care.
He genuinely doesn't, like, he'd be like, he definitely don't anyway. I mean, some men might be a bit, no, probably some men are a bit more now. Maybe like the younger generation rather than, say, like, we're in our he's 35, so he's like,
I think once you get to your 30s, you do calm down a bit more.
Definitely.
Because you kind of have other things going on in your life, usually children or work. Whereas I think when you're in those younger years, you're 18, 19, 20, it is all about getting up and getting ready, looking fabulous. I miss those days.
Yeah, I know.
You know, just getting up and looking after myself and not, you know, you've not got the child to feed and... You know, it takes away from the time that you spend on yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that's why the shoots are nice, because they're so... Like, particularly for me, like when I came and I've had a few now with you, but the last one that I did with you, I was working all the time, I was always in clinics, I was getting to and from flights, I was looking after my little boy, working, you know, busy mum life, you know how it is. Yeah. And it's so nice to just go, have your makeup done, relax, get some nice pictures, and just have a bit of you time, because it's time on yourself, isn't it? And I think that we are not always great at making time for ourselves as women. We need to probably be a bit more on it with that. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I've probably got better. No, I have got better.
When was the last time you did something nice for yourself?
I went and got my nails and had a pedicure the other day. Is that
that's nice. That's nice.
But like I do, they're like I'll make sure I do those things now. There was a point where I'd never go and get my hair done. I remember Bryn saying to me, "You look like Christina Aguilera."
Was that a compliment?
No.
What? Christina dirty?
Yeah, black stripes. Oh, just a blonde top. Because I'd have a hair appointment booked in, and then someone would say, "Could you squeeze me in? Could you squeeze me in?" And I'd go, "Yeah, okay." Then I'd get to the hairdressers and I'd say to her, "Can you just do the top of my hair? Because I've got to get back for a shoot." Yeah. And she must think, like, "Are you joking me? Like, I've got you booked in for a forehead or whatever." But she's so lovely, but not, like, I make sure I don't do that anymore. I'm like, no, I'm booked in for my hair, I'm not working that day.
You have to be really strict on yourself, because particularly with me, if I see a gap in my diary, I'm like, oh. But actually that gap, you could just sit and chill and have a cup of tea, or, you know. Yeah, I've
definitely got better, and I think the work I do now, I've changed how I work, so I only do, like, the aesthetic shoots, they don't take up my whole day. So I start at like around 11 o'clock, so that usually works for people because they're travelling from further out, they've got to get to me. So I'll have the morning to sort of like chill, do a few bits that I need to do that de-stresses me. Yeah. You know, even if it is like catching up on a bit of editing or replying to messages, just not having that. It's I have like a slow morning. Do you know what I mean?
That's nice though, isn't it?
Yeah, and
nice
I
to
feel
do that.
much happier doing that. Watch a bit of EastEnders.
Yeah.
So, and whereas before I was doing, there'd be 12-hour days, and I'd be out the house for 12 hours, get back, and I'd get in the taxi, and people would be like, "Can I have my pictures? When can I get the pictures?"
They want them straight away in that moment.
Yeah, and I'm like, I've got to get home. and have a child, and it was exhausting.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a lot of
that was
expectation.
the fashion industry.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
not like any of
You felt that the fashion industry was worse.
That was my dream, and it was just, once I got it, it eventually became just not what I wanted.
What you envisaged.
It seemed like, I mean, don't get me wrong, when I was younger, great, like, I was young, I didn't have any, like, major ties, like, other than, like, Jake. I could, like, do what I wanted, didn't have to worry about LV, and, like, it was just completely different. And, you know, when you're young, like, if someone says to you, like, oh, do you want to come away, like, next weekend for a shoot? Oh my God, yeah, great stuff.
Yeah.
However, that stuff just doesn't appeal to me anymore.
You
and
kind
I
of
was
moved
like,
on.
am I doing that for me, or am I doing that to look like I've got this great life?
Yeah, and you have to stay loyal to where your values lie, I think. And I think that's where authenticity comes in, because people can tell whether you've done something authentically or not.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as you kind of, I don't really like the saying, but you know, the saying, sell your soul to the devil.
Yeah.
As soon as you've done that,
you're
kind of giving up a lot on your own happiness and why you actually enjoyed it in the first place.
I was so depressed. So coming, like, just before I started to push this, I was ready to literally throw the towel in. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do it. I'm just going to stop doing photography altogether.
Oh, wow.
And Jake was like, you can't. You've worked so hard. You can't just quit. And he was like, maybe just change the avenue. Like, you know, you whenever you do the, because at that point it was just an odd, like, aesthetics business shoot here and there. It was just that odd shoot here and there. He was like, you need to push those shoots, because whenever you do them, you're happy.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I love to make people not feel, I don't do it just, like, I love when people come in, they're nervous, they're anxious, and they, you know, like you've just said, like, you'd been overworked and you just wanted something to make you feel good. And people come in and they're like, I hate having my pictures done, I hate photos of myself, and I'm like, oh, you wait, and then they'll see a few pictures and they're like, oh my God, like, and they leave feeling so good, and that for me is way more rewarding and a lovely feeling, and I get much more of a, like,
that's so nice.
Out of doing that.
Yeah, that's so nice.
Yeah,
I love that. That's really, like, sweet as well, isn't it? That you've still got that, you know, because you've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
The fact that you still have that just shows really how passionate you are about the industry and how passionate you are about your work. So I think that's really amazing. How we doing? We all right?
Yeah. To go down to question 4.
We still red on that one down there as well.
Yeah.
You're doing amazing. Do you want any water or anything?
No, I'm okay. Sorry if I'm waffling.
It's great. Isn't it good?
Really good.
Yeah,
Really
like the
good.
content is
Sure,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah. The only thing you was
Sorry,
rearing a little bit away from
sorry.
your mic.
I kept thinking of a slouch. I watched you go up and I thought, oh, is that
Right. So what do we need to cover? So okay, so I'm going to ask you that now. Okay. So do you find that more, particularly aesthetic clinics and aesthetic girls, are wanting to put their face to their branding more than, say, in previous years?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the aesthetic industry kind of started the craze of it, and now more business owners are starting to do it as well.
In other industries, you mean?
Yeah, so like, you know, your hairdressers, makeup artists and stuff like that. I feel like definitely over the years, as I said, when I started photographing, one of the girls about 4 years ago, she was probably the only one I knew that was doing that, and then it was like a couple of others after that, and then you know, everyone kind of does, you know, oh, that works for them, I think I should do that. But I think that some people don't want to do it, but I think it's really important for your business.
Yeah.
Because you are your brand.
Yeah, and if you don't show that, it creates like this almost lack of trust, would you say?
And I don't want to say like it's too professional when you don't show yourself. No, it comes up not professional.
There's a fine line though, isn't there?
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm using the right word, but I remember somebody said to me, like, your page is too professional. And I was doing like 3 of the same shoot, 3 a grid like that, and they were like, it's off-putting, it's not personal enough.
Right.
Which I wouldn't say it's personal. But I have recently put a few pictures somewhere. So there's a few things of me on there about, like, you know, a few
that you've kind of switched
so
off.
you could see what I look like. It's not just completely my work. But it's definitely something that I think people need to do.
So would you advise girls
to get work? No, I just
so you would advise girls to put the face out there
100%.
in one, whether they can, you know, are in a position to come and have professional photographs,
or just like video content of themselves talking,
just something
stories,
to show personable.
Yeah, I think that people are more bothered about you than the business.
Because they want to know who's injecting them, who
Yeah.
the face is, what their ethics are, how their personality comes across.
Yeah.
And I think more girls are doing that these days. But I do personally think there's a fine line, and I'm going to be super, super honest here, because sometimes I do see girls that are going on using the video aspect of Instagram to talk about themselves. But I think some people do go too far into personal lives, and I'm a bit like, I don't know if I like that particularly. I think work is work and home life is home life.
Yeah.
And you do see some big influencers that kind of swing between the two.
Yeah.
And I just think, God, I could never do that.
Yeah.
It's just not my style.
100%, yeah.
But, you know, each their own.
Yeah, because you kind of do want to keep that professionalism.
Yeah.
You know, because there's, you know, like, I love a good, like, meme. If you're on my personal account, that's all I share on my stories. Just, like stupid stuff. I'd never do that on my business
page. On the work page. That's it. Because I think if someone's coming to you and they're having the photographs done and you're responsible for kind of making sure that everything's great, the lighting's perfect, that they look good, do they want you to post about the sandwich that you had at your breakfast?
Exactly.
Don't really know.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
But maybe that's because I'm kind of more weary. I'm very aware of everyone, not just certain categories of people.
Yeah.
So even though a certain category of people might want to see what you've had for breakfast, and they might be genuinely interested,
another will be like,
yeah, because it can put me off.
Yeah.
If I see people posting too much personal stuff, and I can see that there's like they've got other kids running around, I'm a bit like, I don't know if you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Personal, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think pictures of you and videos and stuff, just like maybe talking, like coming on saying I've got some slots available this weekend,
they're nice, aren't they?
Yeah, just so people can see you and know who they're coming to. Like I was on a shoot once and someone come in and I was vacuuming and they thought I was a cleaner. so yeah. I mean, you know how I dress in my, like, I'm always super casual, so I'm not surprised. But because they didn't know who I was, do you know what I mean? Because they've never seen me.
Oh my God,
I mean,
mortifying.
Hilarious.
That is so funny. This is the thing you can just never predict, can you? What's going to happen on that day? You just be like, you're the cleaner.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
that's me. And then next thing you're like, nope, it's me.
Yeah. So funny. But yeah, so I think having a picture of you on there, not that I'd probably look like my photos on there anyway, but, you know, people do get a bit of a, you know,
a feel
from you.
Yeah, that's nice. Super important.
Definitely.
Okay. So the types of clients that you're getting at the moment, would you say that they have less filler than they did 5 years ago, or would you say they're coming in with more filler? What do you kind of feel like is the look these days that people are going for?
I'd definitely say, like, people are, like, going towards more tweakments than and then anything. The odd person, obviously, like, they love that glam look, but I'd say mostly people are starting to have less.
Calm down.
Or it just done more naturally,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So being in a clinic and obviously seeing these clients every day, it's the same. We were seeing so many kind of young people that were wanting these big cheeks and the big, massive lips, but actually I think it's been a generational change where everyone's kind of like, oh, actually, I want to have these enhancements, but I still want to look like me.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing. I'm not really sure what's kind of brought this full circle about. Probably a lot of bad work. Because, I mean, I don't know how you were finding it when everyone was going through that kind of heavily filled face, I bet that's difficult to edit and kind of get to look nice, right?
I don't
Maybe
feel
not.
like I feel like it was before I started shooting with people.
Do you?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because
Yeah.
it was rife at one point.
Yeah.
Like, people were literally walking around looking borderline crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, even myself, I would literally go for 1 mil lips and I'd come out with 2.5 mil in one sitting.
Wow.
Yeah. And
You want to see a picture?
no one wants to see a picture, trust me. I have deleted any evidence there ever was of those lips. They were awful. They were really, really bad. Like, literally, you could have got a cup of tea and rested them on my lips.
Oh my God.
It was so bad. And I actually feel like a lot of aesthetic practitioners have done this.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like a lot of practitioners that have come into the industry have come into it on the back of having bad work done. Because, you know, when you have bad work done, you don't realise that you've got bad work.
Really?
It's so weird. I literally thought I looked fabulous.
Yeah.
I thought I looked so good. And you know, now I look back
Scary,
and I think,
isn't it?
wow, I did not see what I looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem that I had is the person that was doing my face had no ethics whatsoever, and just kept putting it in my face for the money.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that we probably all are responsible for, making sure that people don't go crazy, especially in clinics, and just making sure that people are doing things to a level that's kind of not only safe but looks good.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the reason someone's getting bullied online because they look ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we all take things personable to a level.
Yeah.
You know, with anything that we do.
Yeah.
And I just wouldn't I wouldn't want that on my shoulders.
No,
It's
I
not
can
nice.
imagine. But a lot more people, I feel, are going to, like, I'll have people speak to some people and they're like, oh, I need to get such and such done, but she wouldn't do it for me. And I'm like, that's good.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually really, really good.
Yeah, they
'Cause
can't
could
see
easily
it.
take your money and be like, oh yeah.
Exactly.
jab
But
it
I
up.
think podcast episodes like this today, other things that are going out there now, I think there is more awareness brought to this subject more than there ever has been before.
Yeah.
It's like years ago, I felt like no one wanted to talk about it, or people were scared to talk about it.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like there's a lot more being said.
Yeah. Definitely is. I mean, it's probably down to, like, say, the Kardashians, like, and stuff, having their stuff, like, what would you call it? Not reversed, but dissolved and whatever. Going more natural. People obviously tend to follow whatever they're sort of doing. So
They
I feel
do,
like,
yeah. Yeah,
So,
the Kardashians
yeah.
have a massive effect on the way people look and feel about themselves, because they're so high profile. They've got so many seasons now of Keeping Up. They've got so many other shows going on. They're in the public eye constantly.
Yeah.
And you can't help but tune in and watch and kind of feel like you're staring at one of the girls because they look so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, I wonder what they've had on.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I end up staring at all the girls every time I watch the Kardashians.
Do you know what? I don't watch it.
Do you not?
I've never watched one episode.
Oh my gosh,
I know,
why?
am I the only person in the world?
Why?
Don't know.
Just don't want to kind of get caught into
never
that.
appealed to me.
Really?
I don't really watch, like, any reality TV. Anyway, I've never been. I'm more of a murder documentary kind of person.
Oh God.
So,
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't really.
Should I be scared?
No, I don't know. I've just never.
Here
been
I am
into
watching
it.
the Kardashians. You're watching
I feel-
murder mysteries.
No, literally. I feel like everyone does. Everyone's always watching it, and I'm like,
But how does that chill you out? I watch it to chill out and get out my headspace. I don't know if watching a murder would make me feel very relaxed.
I must admit, I can feel like I've watched too much, that it's drained my energy and I'm really negative.
When you're going to have a bad dream.
I don't get bad dreams. It's really fun. No, I don't get, like, bad dreams and stuff. Like, I just love anything that's gripping. So, like, reality TV for me just isn't. However, I did watch Love Island All Stars because my friend was in there, and I think I won't watch it because I don't want it to consume my life.
Yeah.
Because it that's what happened to me just when the All Stars was on.
Yeah. Oh, did you watch it the whole way through?
Because my friend was on it, and then when she went off, I was like, okay, I'm not going to watch it now. But I did keep watching it.
You end up kind of
and
getting gripped.
I think I like to have something on in the background whilst I do my editing.
Yeah, rather than something you've got to fully focus and commit to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't edit now because I want to watch this.
Yeah.
Do you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, it's a bit of a distraction.
So, yeah. But yeah, I've never really watched anything like that. So maybe that's why I'm not as into certain things.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. Who is the most person that you've photographed that you've been so excited to do? There must be someone that sticks in your head that you're like, oh, I loved doing that person, or someone you was excited to do.
Okay, I was trying not to say any names or anything. So the biggest, I'd say, the point where I felt like, oh wow, this is a big deal.
That's it.
Okay, so I was on holiday and people kept tagging me in Sam Fair's post. She was looking for a photographer, or sending me her story. And she had a clothing brand at the time, and I was like, oh, like I could message her, but she's not really gonna see it. So I went on to I did message, and I thought she's just gonna be so swamped with messages, like, but I want this job. So I messaged a girl that I'd just been on a trip with that I'd modelled for her previously, and I saw they followed each other. And I thought, well, this wouldn't be weird for me to ask. It wouldn't be weird for a model to recommend a photographer. So I messaged the girl and said, like, would you mind putting me forward for just saying that I've sent a message? And she was like, yeah, sure. She done that, and within probably 20 minutes, Sam had messaged me and booked me for the shoot. And then I remember going to that shoot, and me and my friend Jeff, we laugh about it all the time, because he's Sam and Billy's stylist, and me and him have become friends over the years. But on that day when I went to that shoot, I could not talk. Couldn't talk. Didn't say one word. He says, do you remember that time when you was a mute? And I'm like, thanks,
oh my God,
Jeff.
that's so harsh.
No, he's funny. He always reminds me of every shoot we're on.
So
He
you
goes,
literally
you know,
just
the first time I met Talia, she was a mute. And I'm like, it wasn't that I was.
So that's gonna stick with you forever.
It wasn't that I was. I spoke to like her and like her husband. No, sorry, it's not her husband.
Is this because you were so nervous?
Yeah, I just couldn't. Everyone knew each other.
Right.
And I didn't know anyone.
It's overwhelming, isn't it?
And I can be like the loudest person in the room, but I could also be the quietest. Like, it just depends on the situation or the environment. And I think I did feel at that point that I shouldn't be doing this. As if I've put myself forward for this. I shouldn't be here. So yeah, imposter syndrome.
That's the imposter syndrome popping up again.
Yeah. But then after that first shoot, she booked me again, and then once I'd done that first shoot, then I was fine.
Yeah.
And then after that, she stopped doing the clothing anyway. She started up a collagen thing, and she's doing really well with that. So she stopped the clothing, but then she contacted me to photograph her, sort of like I photographed her pregnancy announcement.
Yeah, that was so nice. I saw that was beautiful.
And then photographed her again, like a few times throughout. No, when she was more like further along, and then photographed her as soon as the baby was born, Edward. And then at the end, and then after that, when OK Magazine wanted to do the shoot to announce her pregnancy, she then put me forward for that. So that was like a nice relationship that I built with her in that way, which was really nice of her to do, because she didn't have to put me forward for that.
Well, I'm sure that she didn't have any other choice, because the thing is, I think once you've come to Talia, it's hard to kind of move away, especially like with me, I came and did one, I wouldn't go anywhere else. And I think you are building this trust and this kind of like, oh wow, everything was so amazing, why would they go anywhere else?
It does happen. So mainly, like, I noticed that within the fashion industry, and I think that was a hard thing for someone as soft as me to deal with, or with such, like, when people do say to you, I'd never go to anyone else, I take it literal.
Yeah.
So, and then it hurts.
Oh, and then when they do, you're like, oh.
And then I start to go, well, I wonder what I've done wrong on that last shoot, which I think is like
natural,
anyone within, like, I mean, if someone came to you and was having their lips done with you for say 5 years, and all of a sudden they've gone to someone else.
It happens though. It happens all the time, and it's temptation of thinking that there's something's better.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that a lot of clients that do try other places, they always come back.
Yeah.
They do always come back. So that is the good thing.
It is what it is. It just like one door closes, another opens, doesn't it? So I
Absolutely.
I don't take it as personal as I have in the past.
Yeah.
Especially with these sort of shoots, because I could meet someone and they could come for one shoot and I could never see them again, and that's fine. They've
kind of got their purpose and they've got the photographs, and some people might only just want to have one set.
Exactly.
So you kind of got to roll with the punches, haven't you?
Or they might want something completely different next time.
Yeah, like a different style, which fine. Is definitely. But I think the main thing that I picked up from speaking to you today, which definitely really didn't know about you, is how much you've achieved to say how nervous you felt and how much of, I wouldn't say not natural it's come to you, because you're clearly a natural at what you do in your profession, but I would say just from like a feelings point of view, the way you feel, but you've still pushed forward, you've still gone out there, messaged Sam, like all of these little things. If you've not have done those little things, you'd have never been at the point that you're at now.
No,
And I think that's a really good message, and I think a lot of people watching this will take so much from that and be like, wow, Talia's done all of this, she's achieved so much, but she feels like me. Because there's going to be so many people watching this now that are like, I feel like that. And I think that's amazing. So thank you so much for coming on and speaking to me. I've absolutely loved interviewing you. It's been great.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Flattered.
Thank you. You're welcome. Though considering that you are quite a nervous person, what would you say has took you from that feeling to the doing? So how, for anyone watching this, they might be thinking, I feel like that, but they want to get to the doing like what you've done. What kind of advice would you give those people watching?
I feel like something that I've always had in me is that I've always wanted to do well, and my determination has carried me. Like, I've never given up. I remember I'd be literally crying to Jake, like, I'm working so hard and nothing's happening, and I would just and to be fair, he was a massive part of it, as in I'd be terrified to go for interviews, he'd drive me there and say, you're going in, so and I'd be and I'd be crying outside. He's like, just do it, and he'd push me massively. Is it gonna but I think definitely my ambition is what's made me fight off my nerves, and just the fact that I wasn't willing to fail in any way at all.
So I suppose the essence of what you're saying, that for you failure is worse than not trying.
I just, that
feeling of failure is worse for you.
Once I overcome those nerves, which I guess everybody gets nerves, I feel really proud of myself.
And you have to rely on the fact that feeling of reward will come, I suppose, and remember that it's going to come.
And like, if I really, really sat back and thought of what I've achieved from, not to be the cliche, like what I've come from, I've had to do everything the hard way. Everything. And with my own hard work is how I got to it, and just overcoming my anxieties and everything that's scary. I think, like I said earlier, not being able to say no to people has actually worked in my favour in a way. Because I've had to be put into positions that I wouldn't want to do, but I've had to do it because I've committed, and I don't like to let people down. So,
but I think that's like also being in growth zone. Because I think, especially what I notice is, people will sit in the comfort zone, but with the comfort zone comes no progression.
Exactly.
And you kind of just stuck.
Yeah.
So I would say, if you're feeling comfortable day in, day out,
100%,
something's not right somewhere if you want to progress and do well.
Definitely.
Because if you're not feeling that anxiety and them nerves, then you're not pushing yourself.
Exactly. I remember being in a job when I was really comfortable in this job, and I didn't necessarily love the job, but I was comfortable, and I kept thinking, I need to get the sack because I'm not going to leave here because I'm too comfortable. And then, like, a few weeks later, they had to let me go because they they ended up shutting down and stuff, so it kind of worked in my favour. But I would sometimes wonder if I'd still, how long I'd have been there if that hadn't happened.
Really?
Mm.
It's crazy, isn't it? How little things can happen that can kind of shape your career and your future in a way.
But I believe that if you don't move, life will move on you.
Yeah, and other people will take those seats.
Yeah.
And they will take those opportunities. With the Sophia Bailey event, someone else would have just taken the opportunity and you'd have missed that and you'd have felt crappy. Yeah. You'd have been like, oh, I can't believe I didn't go. Yeah. Can't believe I let the fear beat me. Yeah, in a way.
Definitely, 100%.
So yeah, I think that would probably be really great advice that a lot of the viewers would probably really get a lot of value from. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Back in a Mill. We hope that you've enjoyed watching this episode and we'll see you next time.